Okay, so you've pretty much seen all the basic functions of a rear loader and know everything on how they work. Pretty much I can give you a bit of a grand tour, even though it's not as glorious as an automated, since you know there's pretty much still the old workhorses back in the old day. But it's still pretty much your basic truck. You got your wheel. I got my oil pressure gauge, my water temp, bolts, kind of a heads-up display that shows me how full my DEF is. This is my RPMs, how many miles I'm going, how fast I'm going. My transmission temp, I got this thing because I got another wheel on this side for my right-hand drive. Primary pressure, secondary pressure, and my full MIDPF status. This one here, I'm not sure what this one does. I think it might be something for my heated meters, something, I'm not sure. This is pretty much my RPM setter for whenever I'm warming the truck up on a cold day. My parking lamps, my headlights, my cruise control. I do have cruise control on this truck. This is how I can set it. I just hit the gas pedal and ramp it up. This is my fan switch, so I can pretty much hit my fan, turn it on manually whenever I'm loaded and going down a hill, which is awesome to have. This is my region switch. ATC, not sure what that does. My cab light, so I can look into my wall. My heated mirrors, which is awesome. My diff lock, and my windshield wipers, and my parking brake, and my horn, which should be right here, but so for some reason the designers of Peterbilt decided to put it right there. My AC, this is pretty much my AC because I don't have AC in this truck, even though it looks like I do. It just don't work that well. The tablet mount, which I never use. We use tablets, but let's just say it was a disaster. My stereo, my defroster for my windows. This turns it up and stuff. Body controls right here. This is where the body comes to life. You know, this would be my pump for my pump. You know, on, off. My hopper lights, strobe lights, camera lights, and side lights. Basically, just lights and my pump. This would be my e-stop right here. Pretty much all the inside of the truck. My DPF injector, and when this thing is going, especially on a hot summer day, this thing will get hot. At least it has cup holders and automatic transmission. Pretty much the insides of the rear loader, and of course air horn, which kids love. But yeah, pretty much the heart and function of the hydraulics on a rear load truck. And this is pretty much where the blade will come to life. This is my pump, and I have an RPM limiter on how far I can run this pump. I can only run my pump at like 1500 RPMs, which means it'll shut off, but at least I don't have to manually flip the switches all the time and reset it. This thing resets itself right here. So pretty much everything on how I would need for my function. I hit my pump switch, turns on my pump, draws the fluid from the reservoir, and it'll go right to the pump. The pump will pressurize it to about 2,100 pounds per square inch, and then the pump goes right through the radiator, pressurizes it, and goes up those lines and up through the back of the truck and to the valve body. My dump controls right here are a bit of pretty much my they're a bit of a valve body themselves, as you can see. My ejector control, back, forth, tailgate controls, open, close, throttle advance. Also in case I gotta split my dump. But this is a 2010 McNeilus 25 cubic yard rear loader. All the magic that happens, pump's going, drawing pressure. And I have my cylinders all the way back up here, and right up in there would be my valve body. Because rear loaders are still the old rugged workhorses that they are, even though they still have a few electronics on them. Pretty much all my switches right here, which is the old RADA assembly switches, where it connects to a rod and sends fluid into the valve body. For pretty much, this would be for my blade, open, close, my slide blade, up, down, and then my container arms, up, down, and my cart control, up, down. And all the hydraulic cylinders. And this thing has a Prox switch on it, which is basically, let's say I put the truck in neutral, I get out to dump a can and my rider wants to run the blade. Basically, he'll hit the switch, he'll hit his switches, and it'll trip that Prox switch up there that tells the system that the blade is going to be run. And when the blade is running, the truck's in neutral, it'll tell the system to run the throttle controls, which means my blade will run really fast, and that's why you hear those rear loaders making the same sound that they always do every morning. Then we go around here, which is my turnbuckle, which you always want to make sure you have your turnbuckles in, because if you don't have those turnbuckles in and you're going to be hauling a heavy load, the most I ever put on this truck was about close to 15, 16 tons, 15 and a half tons. I put on this truck, so it was about 69,000 pounds, close to maybe 70, but that's pretty much how much you're going to get out of this truck. And if you don't have your turnbuckles in all the way, or they're loose, and you happen to run your blade on a packed out truck, then you're going to end up splitting your tailgate open, or popping your tailgate open, and then your day is going to be wrecked. Then come around here, fuel tank and stuff, and then in here is my wall, and my cylinders to draw my line. So I want to run my wall. The fluid's going to go into that cylinder, going to go into the first part of the cylinder and push the rod out. Then it's going to go. Say I want to bring my wall back. That line is going to take the fluid and suck it in back to the reservoir. Same way with when you want to run your switches for your blade. Say I want to open up my blade. I hit the switch, the pump goes, sucks the fluid in, it's gonna send that line, which is gonna suck the fluid in. If I want to close my blade, it's gonna draw the fluid out and push the rod out. All that different stuff. And then trip the Prox switch for the throttle master if the truck's in neutral. I got about 3 Prox switches on this truck. All the automated, say like that auto reach over there. That truck has more Prox switches than this, because it's electronic and stuff. But I got 3 Prox switches on this truck. I got one on the side door, which is the most important critical Prox switch you can have on a rear loader, because basically if this side door is open, it's going to trip that Prox switch and send a message up onto my body controls and send an alarm into the truck saying my side door is open. And what that Prox switch will do, it'll shut down the electric signal to the hydraulics. Nothing can be operated. But it's still never ever a wise decision to be entering this box with the engine running, because if you get in there and you don't want to bet your life that you can make it out that door, because say somebody decides to get in there with the engine running, and they put up the container to clean out behind the wall, and the container ends up hitting the wall switch. And then all of a sudden, that wall is going to literally come back at 2,100 pounds per square inch and literally push you against this end of the box. And it's not going to stop until the truck runs out of fuel, or somebody comes in there and finds you dead in there. So that's why it's never ever a wise idea to get inside that box with the engine running. Then I got another Prox switch right up there that tells that will send a message from inside the cab, send a little alarm, and set my tailgate alarm off that tells me my tailgate's opened. Then the third Prox switch on my blade controls to tell the throttle master to work when the truck's put in neutral. Pretty much, this is all the functions of your basic rear load truck. And I have a right hand drive for whenever if I'm going to be by myself, and I got to do some stops on the right, which we rarely use because this is pretty much your two-man route truck. But here's my lights. This tells me that my pump's on. This tells me my throttle master's going, and my auto neutral's engaged. This truck doesn't really have an auto neutral. I'm sure it does, but I'm not sure. This tells me my access door is open, and this tells me that my tailgate's open. So pretty much, that is everything you need to know about a rear load truck.